We are going to find slope from 2 points. So the last lesson we did was slope from a graph where you count rise over run. The lesson today is about finding slope from 2 points. So we actually have a formula, and this formula is found on our formula chart. So whenever you take a test, you will have this formula chart, and the slope formula, slope of a line, is right here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the x's and y's come from 2 points. So the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm just highlighting so you see where the points come from for the formula. So what I like to do whenever I do the slope formula is label my points x1, y1. These are the first points, or the first point. So the x and the y of the first point, and the x and the y of the second point. And I'm going to put this whole fraction into the calculator and let it reduce it for me. You want to write your slope in the most simplified form, but keep it as a fraction. This little triangle means delta, which is change. So the way you would say this is change of y over change in x. Okay, so let's look at our points, or our first couple of examples. Find the slope of the line that passes through the points. So I am going to go ahead and write my formula here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So whenever you have points, you're going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. So M equals, let's go ahead and write the formula again. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. For your Delta Math assignment, you are going to have to show work and turn that in. So we are going to write the formula again and then write your points. So the y2 is negative 6. So negative 6 minus, so I did this one, y2 minus y1 minus a negative 3. Over, now I need to do the x's. x2, so 5 minus x1, 2. Okay, we can do this by hand, but some people get lost in all the negatives. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this straight into the calculator just like this. Okay, so we need a fraction, so do alpha y equals, and pick number 1, n/d. And we're going to put this in. Negative 6, so make sure you use the negative. This is a negative, this is a minus. Negative 6 minus a negative 3. Don't put minus and minus. You put a negative there. and then go down and do 5 minus 2. Push enter, and we get a final answer of m equals -1. And this does have a negative slope, so whenever it's graphed, it's actually going to go downhill from left to right. So it's going to be a -1 slope. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's write our formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now label. So the first point is an x and a y. So 5 is x1, 2 is y1. Each point should have an x and a y. Since this is my first one, I'm going to put ones with it. This one's going to be an x and a y, but this is the second one, so x2, y2. So once you have them labeled, you can plug it into the formula. So y2, -1, minus a y1, 2, over x2, 4, minus 5. Okay, let's put it in the calculator. So push clear on what you have. Alpha y equals gives you that fraction. Now put these in. 1 minus 2. The minus is the longer one, and the negative is the shorter one that's right underneath the 3. I forgot the negative, didn't I? Okay, -1 minus 2. There we go. Make sure you didn't do like I did. And then it's 4 minus 5. -1 minus 2 on top, 4 minus 5 on bottom. 3. M equals 3. So M equals 3. So this is a positive slope, so it's going to go uphill. Okay, let's go to the next one. Example 3. We have 3 points. But how many points do we need in order to find the slope? Just 2. So you pick 2. It doesn't matter which 2. Because I want to be simple, I'm going to pick the ones that don't have negatives. So I'm just going to use these 2. So I'm going to mark that one out. And then label these x1, y1. x2, y2. I'll write the formula down. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now plug in your numbers. y2 minus y1. And then x2 minus x1. What do you notice about the top? What's going to happen? It's going to be 0, yeah. So let's just put it in just to see what it does. 4 minus 4 over 5 minus 0. Remember, alpha y equals, to get that fraction, it equals 0. So if you were doing this by hand, you would get 0 over 5. So a thing to remember, 0 being on top versus on bottom, is eggs in a cart if you're going shopping. You always want to put the eggs on the top so that they're okay. If the eggs are in the bottom of the cart and you throw all your groceries on top, like your bottled water, your cans, and all your stuff, it's going to end up cracking those eggs. So eggs on top is okay. So I'm putting 0 over a number equals 0. Eggs on top, okay. Versus, I'm going to do just a side note here, versus a number over 0 is going to give us undefined. Remember, undefined is the worst word in math language. It's like saying a cuss word. So this is eggs on bottom, not okay. So since it's not okay, it's undefined. And I'll show you what it looks like in the calculator too. So let's say I do 5 over 0. Look at what it does. It gives us an error, and it says divide by 0. You can quit or go to. It says attempted calculations contains division by 0. Calculation fails. So that's what it means, and that's what it's going to look like if it's undefined. So it's whenever you divide by 0 that happens. It becomes an error. A slope of 0, remember with slope dude, what's happening? Puff, puff, positive, nice, negative. What is happening whenever it's straight? 0, fun. It's like going on a roller coaster, and the roller coaster has no hills. It doesn't have anything that it goes up or down. Imagine going on a roller coaster that was all like this. That'd be pretty boring. That'd be 0 fun. So that is the 0 slope. If it's like this, undefined, how's that going to look? It's the one where he falls off the cliff. So these are two different things. So this is just, they correspond because they have a 0 involved. Okay, let's go to example 4. If you have a table, you can pick any 2 points to do your slope. If I'm looking at this, I want to find the easiest ones to deal with. So I really don't want decimals, and I really don't want negatives. So I would pick, this as my x1, 0, and 2 as my y1. You just find the easiest ones. So I'm going to do those. And then I'd probably do these next. 2, 1. So this would be x2, y2. From a table, you pick any 2 points. Go ahead and write your formula down, and then we'll plug in. All right, we'll plug in. Y2 is 1 minus y1, 2 over x2, 2 minus x1, 0. Okay, go to, I'm going to quit on that. Alpha y equals Put this in, 1 minus 2 over 2 minus 0. It's really hard to see, but can y'all see that? Negative 1/2. Okay, so m equals negative 1/2. So what is the line going to look like? I call it downhill. It'd be a downhill line. Okay, the second page, or the last page of our notes, is Hoy and Vux. So this is a way to remember vertical and horizontal lines. So if you have a vertical or horizontal line, you need to ask yourself, is it Hoy or is it Vux? So let me tell you what Hoy and Vux mean. Hoy stands for horizontal line. Horizontal line is this. If you have a horizontal line, the slope is going to be 0. So 0 slope. M equals 0. That's what Hoy, the O in Hoy means. Y stands for how the equation is written. Y equals some number. It's not going to have x. No x value. As in like mx plus b, it's going to be y equals 0x plus b. That's what it's going to be like. If you have a horizontal line, it's going to be a 0 slope and y equals some number. There will be no, it'll be 0x. Or I guess it should say no m value. Because it's, yeah, put m there instead. Okay, so Vux is the opposite of that. So if we have a horizontal line, 0 slope, y equals a number. Vux is the opposite. So it'd be vertical line. Vertical line is straight up and down. Think about slope, dude. He's falling off the cliff. He says undefined. M equals undefined. And then your equation is going to be x equals some number. So there will be no y value in the equation. No y in the equation. So in our calculator, we actually can't put it into y equals. Go ahead and glue this in the next page of your journal. And you have a Delta math assignment that you can get started on. I'll pass out some notebook paper for you to show your work on.